Everybody, JT the Soccer Scholar here. Wanted to change things up a little tonight, and I'm actually going to do a soccer ranking show here for Division One Southwest Regional. That's because this week coaches are actually going to be putting in their rankings for all the teams here in Division One, and then on Sunday we're actually going to have the tournament draw. So I wanted to kind of join in on the fun here. So this is my video for the boys. So let's get to it here. Here's my rankings for 21 through 31. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Obviously, some of these teams are kind of been struggling a little bit all season long. They're kind of a little bit in the bottom end of their conferences, but definitely teams that are gonna if they're playing the first round against each other. I think that's going to be some really good matchups here. But this is my rankings for 21 through 31. Moving on to my rankings for 11 through 20. This is actually where things do get a little interesting here, but I have Middletown there at 20. I think that 3-8-1. They've been in just about every single game outside of I think Mason and Sycamore. So they're a team that definitely is much improved. I think that they are deserving that 20 spot there. Talawanda, the best D1 team in the SWAC at the moment. They got a 6-3-1 record. Maybe a little low, but you got to look at the teams that are above them. I mean, Elder. I know 2-9-2. You're like, what? How is Elder here at 18? Well, that's because Elder, I think, is a lot better than that record, considering the fact that they haven't really even won a game yet in the GCL South, and all three of those teams that are with them are also very good. So Elder's had a couple tough outs. They're actually one spot behind Oak Hills, and that's because the Highlanders did beat Elder earlier in the season 2-1. Oak Hills, a team that's always a tough out for everyone in the GMC2. Princeton, a team that's much improved here in the GMC, and I think that they are definitely a team that, a lot of people are, you got to really kind of circle that and make sure you're getting set up for the Vikings. Turpin, they're at 6-5-2, kind of a little bit more in the middle of the road for the ECC. And they got Colerain here, and this is where things get a little crazy. I mean, Colerain at 14 might be a little low for the Cardinals, considering the fact that they're tied for second in the GMC. But they've had some good victories. They beat Sycamore earlier in the season. They had a couple crazy draws and things like that, and then they've had a couple losses. We're like, oh, okay, well, where we're at with the Cardinals. So they're 6-4-2, but they play really well defensively in some certain games. I think that's going to really bode well for them in the tournament. I mean, they have a heck of a goalkeeper in Will Schutte, so I think that the Cardinals are definitely a team that will be a tough out for some people. Same with the Walnut Hills Eagles, because that's a squad that is much improved as well. We didn't really get to see them a whole lot last year because of the whole COVID issues with CPS and things like that. So be interested to see kind of where the Eagles stack up throughout this tournament season too. 12 spot, LaSalle Lancers. Look, Lancers 7-6-1. They're going to be a decent squad too. They're playing the GCL South. They played some really good out of conference teams and actually played a really good contest for the weekend where they lost to the Kings Knights 2-1, which is why I got the Knights slotted just above them there at the 11 spot. I did want to put the Knights in the top 10, but you'll see why I couldn't quite do that. But at 7-4-1, Kings is having a really good season too. They're kind of in the ECC battle before that loss against Anderson. So the Knights definitely having a really good season with Coach Fry. Now, moving into our top 10. Let's look at 6 through 10 real quick. Fairfield at 10. That's why I couldn't put the Knights in the top 10 is because Fairfield did win over Kings 4-2 early in the season. Look, the Indians can score goals. There's no doubt about that. But we need to find out if they can keep the ball at the back of their own net at times too, and that will really decide on how good of a tournament run they can have. Loveland, a team that's been decent all season long, technically still second, I think, in the ECC at the moment. Sycamore, I think, is a really good squad too. Obviously, a couple draws early in the season really hindered their GMC slate, so they're kind of trailing behind Mason by some points here, but they got the Comets coming up this week, so that'll be an interesting one to find out. Lakota West, like the Firebirds, 4-4-4, but they've had some really tough losses and some really big draws, so I think they're actually deserving of being up there. And then Milford, a team that can also score a lot of goals, definitely a good 6th spot there. Lakota East, they have been able to have some really good defensive play as well, so the Thunderhawks are very solid. The Raptors, Anderson hasn't lost a game yet. I mean, they're 12-0-1, so you can't sleep on the ECC leaders there. And then obviously, look, the top 3 has been the top 3 all season long. No things are going to change here with this. Mason, St. X, and Moeller. Obviously, you can maybe argue for swapping any of those 3 there at the top, but I'm putting Mason with the nod just because the Comets, 9-1-2, they've had a heck of a season so far, so I'm going to go with Mason